From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. Oh, Lord mercy, here we go again. 2 more unarmed black men assaulted by cops, one of them killed. Regarding Daunte Wright in Brooklyn Center, a Minneapolis suburb, where do we begin? The cops, of course, were lying. They came out lying with their original statements. The body cam footage didn't match their opening statement. Now they're trying to claim that it was an accidental shooting, that the cop intended to use his taser. I don't believe it, even after seeing the footage. Just enough of this. Just enough of this. God damn it. Here's what needs to happen. Right now, every single goddamn cop in this country needs to have their gun and their taser taken away from them. Every single goddamn cop in this country needs to be disarmed right now. Police unions need to be outlawed. No more internal investigations. Every investigation needs to be completely and unquestionably independent. I don't want to hear any more statements from cops. I don't care what they have to say. All they do is lie to us. Disarm the police. Oh, and by the way, I don't give a good goddamn about a few broken windows or a few rocks or bottles thrown. I don't give a damn. That's not the story today. It's not the story. Disarm every cop in this country and then shut the whole system down and start over from scratch. We have to completely reinvent what we mean by public safety, because this ain't public safety. This is the opposite of public safety. This is public safety in bizarro world. Very simple solutions. Very simple demands. And if you agree with me, I want you to repeat them to your friends, to your neighbors, put them on social media, write to your local representatives, write to your local newspaper. Demand that candidates in elections take these positions. And number 1 is very simple. Cops with guns and mace should have absolutely nothing to do with traffic enforcement, ever, anywhere. Traffic enforcement needs to be taken away from the cops. Traffic enforcement can happen another way, with entirely different personnel, with a whole different set of skills, unarmed. You know, in a lot of these cases, and this one included, they already had the guy's information. They know who he is. They know what car he drives. They know his address. They know his driver's license number. They know his vehicle registration number. They know his license plates number. They know everything about this guy. And this happens in a lot of these cases. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know what the warrant was on Daunte Wright, if there was one. I don't know if the cops are lying about that too. I wouldn't put it past them. But apparently they said they stopped him because of the air freshener hanging from his rearview mirror. Jesus. But that they were detaining him because of the warrant. I don't care at this point. Whatever that warrant had to do with, whatever the charge was behind that warrant, I kind of doubt it included the death penalty. I can be pretty sure about that. So if there is a situation where someone is fleeing, if you can't stop them without deadly force, you just wave and say, okay, we'll catch up with you. You can't go far. We've got all your information. We'll find you. Or you just run them down like a good old-fashioned cop on a 60s TV show and you tackle them. No more deadly force, even if someone is fleeing. I don't care. Let him go at that point. If you can't catch him on foot, let him go. You've got all of his information. You're probably 9 times out of 10 holding his driver's license right in your hand. This is just ridiculous. So traffic, all traffic enforcement needs to be taken away from the cops, and a whole new public safety entity must be born. I would say the same thing for 99% of police work. Disarm the police. Take away their guns, take away their tasers, take away their power. You don't need a gun and a taser for an investigation. The crime's already been committed. That's a good part of police work. It's after the fact. You don't need a gun and a taser to enforce traffic laws. You don't need a gun and a taser for basic crowd security. You're supposed to be protecting people. Disarm the police and do it now. And you can't just have the opinion. I hope you agree with me. If you do, if you agree with me, you can't just have the opinion. Having an opinion doesn't do anything. You have to voice that opinion loudly, every chance you get, with everybody you know, on social media, to your public representatives, and to the candidates who are asking for your vote. And the people who fill the streets, even the ones who get a little bit rowdy and throw a few things and break a few windows, what else do you expect? It's the very least I would expect. Again, that is not the story today. The fact that a few people got upset and hit the streets. Everybody should be hitting the streets. This is just crazy. Now, the other story, of course, is the one from Windsor, Virginia, which we're only now learning about. I guess it happened when? Last December? Have I got my dates right? Thankfully, nobody killed there, but not for a lack of trying. These two cops pull out their guns immediately. I mean, they pop right out of their car, guns drawn. And I'm sure you've seen the tape by now. Just totally abusive with this guy. Mace him for no reason. Threaten him. Both cops with guns drawn. I don't know why only one of them is fired. We learned today that one of the cops has been fired. I assume it's the one that tased him. But they both had guns drawn, and they were both yelling at him for no reason whatsoever. Army Second Lieutenant Caron Nazario is the guy's name. Stopped for not having a rear plate on his SUV, but, he did. It was a new purchase, so the temporary plate was indeed there and posted legally. So now Nazario is suing the cops. Good. I hope he wins. The one thing about this story, though, that bugs me a little bit, I'm 100% with Nazario, of course. There's no question about that. My only problem is the people who are falling over backwards. They're just salivating over the point that he was an Army second lieutenant. I don't care if he was an Army second lieutenant. He didn't deserve his treatment any more than Jacob Blake of Kenosha deserved his treatment, who was just a punk kid. And I guess he had an outstanding warrant as well, or some sort of restraining order. The point being, I don't care if the victim of abusive police is an upstanding citizen or a soldier or just some punk kid who's got troubles. Nobody deserves to be treated like that, and nobody especially deserves to be shot. And Nazario came damn close to that. If he wasn't in a well-lit area, which he made damn sure he was before he stopped for the cops, and then they blamed him for that, he's doing the right thing. That's what you're supposed to do. If you're being pulled over by a cop, you don't just pull over in the pitch black. You go to where there's light. That's perfectly reasonable, acceptable. Cops said his driving slowly made him suspicious. Well, if he'd driven too fast, come on. So he did everything right. But you know what? If he was out of uniform, if he was dressed a little more ragtag, if he was maybe a year or two younger, or his pants weren't high enough on his waist, and if they weren't in a well-lit area, what are the chances that one of those guns wouldn't have gone off? I've had it with this. This is enough. You guys, if you agree with any of this, you got to do something. You have to do something. It's time to do something. And that is demand action. That's fill the streets, fill the email boxes, fill the mailboxes, fill the telephone lines, and make sure that people with power know what we demand. And what I'm suggesting is that all power be taken from the cops. In that 0.09% of police calls that actually require a cop with a gun and a taser, an active, violent situation, sure, then you have very specially trained, armed cops. They should be about 1% of the entire police force or public safety force. 99% of public safety has nothing to do with cops and guns and mace and power trips. We have to stop it. We have to reinvent public safety from the ground up and from the top down. I don't want to hear about sensitivity training. I don't want to hear about de-escalation training. I don't want to hear about any kind of training. There are already people in this world who know how to de-escalate, who know how to be decent human beings. Hire them, train them, put them in the jobs, reinvent public safety, and these very rare cases where a tough guy with a gun and a taser and mace is required in that 1% of calls, fine. Make sure they're trained, make sure they are qualified, make sure they are accountable. Disband anything that looks like today's police unions, which are just organizations to protect their own. They're fraternities. They're like secret skull and bones kind of organizations. Also, you and I have talked about this before. Every single cop on the beat needs to be local. You have to be patrolling your own damn neighborhood. That's got to be a universal law. You're going to walk a beat. You're going to drive a beat. It's going to be your neighborhood and your neighbors. That's the way public safety ought to work. You can't legislate the racism out of these people. So you just have to take away the opportunity. Let me say that again. These damn racists, you can't legislate them away. But what you can do is you can take away their guns and take away their power. Their goddamn tasers, their mace. You can take away their power. 99.9% of public safety calls have nothing to do with guns, tasers, mace, and power. Nothing. God damn. This Chauvin trial, the Derek Chauvin trial, man, the murder of George Floyd. I don't know if you've been watching. We'd all like to say, yeah, it's obviously an open and shut case, but we've been down this road too many times, so nobody's real confident. We're hoping for the best and hoping against the worst here, as far as this, whatever the jury comes up with. The one thing that struck me, man, was week one, that first week of the Chauvin trial, when the witnesses all took the stand. And the common thread from all of them was this guilt that they felt, that they didn't do enough, that they could have done something. They witnessed something just traumatic and horrible, obviously for George Floyd, obviously for his family, but also for these poor people who just happened to be there and witnessed it. And they're going to live with this the rest of their lives. And every one of them seemed to share this collective grief, and not only grief, but guilt for having been there and just felt helpless. This might, I honestly don't know. This might be a change. I really wonder. I wonder if you're in that position tomorrow where another George Floyd type situation is happening. I wonder how you'll react. I wonder how I would react if I were thrown into a situation like that. Because here's what I suspect. I don't know, am I crazy? I'm kind of thinking that a crowd of people is never going to let a George Floyd thing happen again. I honestly believe a crowd of any size will just not have it. 4 cops and 25 or 30 people? I think I don't know. We don't know until it happens. I don't know it about myself until I'm confronted with the situation. What do you think you would do? I keep thinking of the one cop. I forget their names. The shorter guy. Tan was his name? Is that his name? I forget. We had the 3 cops basically all on Floyd, and then the one standing in front talking down the bystanders, keeping him back. I think if that situation is repeated tomorrow, those same bystanders become interveners. I think they intervene. I think the murder of George Floyd has created a new standard. And that little cop standing in front, keeping the bystanders back, I don't think he'd have a chance if this happened tomorrow. I think he'd be just overrun. There's no way of knowing until it happens. I didn't see any bystanders in the Nazario case. It looks like he pulled into a BP station or some kind of a gas station. I didn't see other bystanders in the body cam footage. The Daunte Wright murder happened out on the highway. No bystanders there. His girlfriend in the car, helpless. So I wonder. The one thing I'll say for sure, as a white man, if I am confronted with that situation, I know one thing for sure. I will not leave the scene. I will stay. I will get as close as I can. I will be a witness. I'll pull up my phone. I'll talk with the cops. Until I'm faced with this situation, I don't know how much more I'm capable of. I don't know if I would intervene. I'm not young and strong. Even when I was young, I was never really a very strong guy. But that much I know. I wouldn't leave. I would stay. I would witness. I would advocate. And I would ask you to do the same. I would ask all people to do the same. You see something going down with a person of color at the hands of police, and it looks a little shady to you, even if it doesn't look a little shady, just play it safe. Stay. Don't leave. Be a witness. Intervene to the extent you feel is required. And if a George Floyd situation happens again, I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect that a group of bystanders would take action. They would confront and challenge, physically challenge dirty cops. I would like to think that that new standard has been established. We'll find out. We're going to have a chance to find out. I'm quite sure of it. There's going to be another one, and we'll see how the bystanders behave. But I feel so bad. My heart just goes out to those people who testified the first week of the Chauvin trial and the trauma they experienced and the guilt that they carry today. And they expressed it from the stand, and they showed it in their eyes and in their tears. My God. Well, what else can we talk about today? Here, let's toss in a lighter note, just because I'm sorry, I just kind of beside myself today. Let's toss in one little lighter note. I talked about Gutfeld the other day. God, this guy, Greg Gutfeld, who now, I don't know, he's been on the air for a couple of weeks with his nightly show. I've tuned in a couple of times just to sort of check in and see. It's horrible. It's atrocious. And I just found this story kind of funny. Headline. Let's see, Daily Kos headline. Gutfeld is hiring comedy writers for its atrociously unfunny train wreck of a show. So I guess it didn't occur to them to actually hire comedy writers, even though they're trying to produce a comedy show. It says right in the listings, if you look in the TV listings, where it says drama or documentary or news or, whatever the category is, the category for this show is comedy. And it occurred to them after a week or two on the air that, well, maybe we should hire a comedy writer. So somebody tweeted out this ad, this job application listing from Fox. Freelance comedy writer, Greg Gutfeld show. Fox Corporation, New York, USA. So if you're an aspiring comedy writer, let's see what it says here. We produce and distribute content through some of the world's leading and most valued brands. Salary unlisted, duration freelance. They can't even hire anybody. They're going to put an ad out for a freelancer? No full-time salary, no benefits of any kind. Just you're going to freelance. Job description here. We're looking for a strong writer who is equally passionate about comedy and current events. You are a proactive individual who can write smart, crisp copy with it. Okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. The reaction, as last time we talked about it, the reaction from the comedy world was just brutal. Everybody was tweeting about this show and sharing their opinions, and it's just horrible, completely unfunny. And the reaction is equally as swift to this little bit of news. Oh, you're hiring a comedy writer. Interesting. Okay. I don't know what kind of person would actually take this job. The Daily Kos writer. Who is the Daily Kos writer? I'm looking here. I don't know. Anyway, he says, I can't imagine what self-respecting writer, comedic or otherwise, would allow a hack like Greg Gutfeld to murder their copy live on air. It would be like sending Lenny from Of Mice and Men a Puppy of the Week subscription box. Oh, well, I'm going to have to check in with Gutfeld this week and next, see if the writing improves any. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's really something to see. It's really something. In more kind of happier news that we can feel good about, over this last weekend, there were many so-called White Lives Matter rallies planned around the country. And every last one of them sort of fizzled out. Nobody showed up. At one of them, one of the largest events planned in Huntington Beach, California, was pretty much of a bust. Apparently, more anti-protesters showed up than the ones did for the scheduled event. So Antifa, which always gets such a terrible name, and the right-wingers, through their relentless repetition of lies, has convinced half the country that Antifa are troublemakers. Antifa, simply just to remind you, is short for anti-fascist. And this is kind of what they're all about. They're about counter-protesting Nazis. This is really why they're here. This is what they do. So Antifa and Black Lives Matter got wind of these white rallies, and they showed up early before the event. And so when these white supremacist Nazis showed up, there were already like 500 counter-protesters there, completely outnumbering the bad guys. And there were a few physical clashes, and they were greeted with "Go home, Nazis." And it was pretty much over before it started. And the cops just said, okay, nothing's working here. This is not a lawful assembly. Just go on home, everybody. So there's just a little bit of good news. The white supremacists, the Nazis, were outnumbered at their own rallies. And the whole thing was a bust, pretty much. So good for you, Antifa. Good for you, Black Lives Matter. Counter-protesters far outnumber White Lives Matter ralliers in Huntington Beach, and the protest fizzles out. So there you go. There you go. A little bit of good news. And then, let's see, we got time. One more quick little note here. There's a thing going around social media that I want you to stop, please. I saw it once a while ago. I think it's been around for a couple of years at least, and now it's popping up again. You know how these things work in social media. It's a picture of a dad, and he's holding his baby, who is feeding on a bottle. The dad has a picture of his wife tied to his head. Okay, so can you picture this? Dad in a chair, holding the baby. The baby's got a bottle going, and the baby is staring up at a picture of the mom. So the dad somehow doesn't have to pay attention to the baby, and he can look at his phone, whatever he's looking at on his phone. Checking the scores, playing a game, watching a movie. I don't know what he's doing. And everybody is sharing this as though it's cute and funny, and it's this smart life hack. I've seen several people share this thing as though it's just kind of harmless and funny. Oh, the baby loves their mom, so there's a picture of the mom literally tied like a mask to the dad's head while the dad is playing on his phone. You guys, don't do this. It's not funny. It's not cute. And the dad ought to be bonding with his baby, you dummy. Take your eyes off your damn phone and bond with your baby. What are you doing? Do you have any idea what you're missing out on? As a father of 2 grown children, I can tell you it goes like the snap of a finger. You want to gaze into that baby's eyes, and you want to just drink in every possible moment with that child. This is not funny. It's not cute. It's not smart. It's not clever. Why are you guys sharing this picture as though it is? It's horrible. Do you have any idea how important bonding is with your child, Dad? Eye contact, reading now from Loverly.com. Eye contact and nonverbal communication through smiles and cuddles seem to be a crucial part of a baby's development. There's nothing else like it. So stare deeply into your little one's eyes and give them all the snuggles. A new study from the Cognitive Neuroscience Society showed that babies' brains literally sync with their parents when they are learning about their social environment. The better the neural synchrony, the quicker a child learns. This has been true forever. I don't know how long this research has been around. My kids are now, God, how old are they? I lose track. Early 30s, late 20s. I knew this when they were young, when they were babies. The research was there. This is not something that just happened yesterday. The development of a child's brain is the most rapid in their very first month of life, and in the second month, and in the third month. Every minute you can spend, eye contact, cuddles, hugs, flesh on flesh. It has more to do with a person's eventual outcome than almost anything else you can do for a kid. The researchers found that social signals like eye contact and smiling were associated with increased synchrony and improved social learning. When we connect neurally with others, we are opening ourselves to receiving information and influence from others. There is no substitute for being physically present and in the moment to connect with an infant. Victoria Leong from University of Cambridge. Eye contact also plays a crucial role in developing emotional connections. This applies to children of all ages. Gazing into your little one's eyes strengthens your bond. But it's not just looking at a face that syncs brainwaves. It's sharing the intention to communicate that encourages the sync. Eye contact shows your child that you are really and truly listening. We know it sounds so simple to make an effort to have at least one eye-to-eye conversation each day, but as your day fills up with daily routines, tasks, household chores, meetings, activities, and errands, it's actually harder than you think. This is especially true with the regular use of technology and our constant need to multitask. It's been found that the average mobile user checks their phone 150 times a day, which greatly reduces eye contact during conversations. So here's a dad with this funny little life hack where he can trick his baby into thinking that mom is giving him the bottle while he plays his little video game on his phone and ignores the kid. Will you stop that, please? If anybody thinks this is funny, if anybody thinks this is cute, it's not. This guy, at best, is a dummy. At worst, he's a monster. So stop sharing this little picture, this little meme. Would you please? My God. What is wrong with this world? Oh, Lord. Help me. Can we just finish now? Is this it? Is this enough? Am I done? We'll have a better day tomorrow. I promise we will. All right. I love you. Whew. I'm Charles Purcell.